General feeling after round one?
Well, actually, not to put a dampener on it, because I was coming in very pumped, very excited. I liked the new rules, and I thought we definitely need to try something. But after round one, I'm a little bit more cautious, not like maybe a bit more disappointed, because the stuff that you're saying that it's not going to change much, it's going to take a reset. But I'm thinking, are players, managers going to want to reset it? Because the biggest ill of the game for me wasn't even defensive football. It was how easy it was to keep the ball. And I was looking at these games. Granted, I had to watch Derry Tyrone, which would have been bad anyway if if the old rules were still in play. But it's even easier to keep the ball now because there's less defenders and you have an extra man. And I did hear in the build up to the league, because obviously you're involved in club and you're trying to find out what's happening, what's the right way to go about it. And just like Colum's saying, like this is designed to reward attacking play and adventurous play. But then I had heard that a lot of county teams are actually going slow because they know we will definitely break them down now. We can relax. We'll get up there. There's more space. We're going to have an extra man, and we'll get through.
Okay, well then you bring us to the key complaint, or the most vociferous complaint, which came courtesy of Paddy Talley. Maybe not a coincidence. He was obviously watching the game that you watched as well, Derry Tyrone. Like, if you're taking a smattering of the weekend at large, then for Mayo, Colm Reap; for Offaly, Paddy Dunnican; for Meath, Billy Hogan; for Monaghan, Roy Began; for Cavan, Gary O'Rourke; and for Fermanagh, Ross Bogue, they all scored from play. Goalkeepers scoring from play. And obviously Niall Morgan didn't score from play, but was very involved, no surprises. And it was striking. I guess we have two kind of stay-at-homers in Blaine Hughes and Conor Gleeson of Galway, the Armagh-Galway game, whereas both were very involved in attacking play. They were coming out of their goal and trying to get involved. And then when Armagh were chasing the game, Ethan Rafferty was put on for Hughes to be even more involved. So here's what Paddy Talley said. The 12th man up, as in goalkeeper coming into the opposition half, is killing the game. Simple as that. You want one-on-one battles. When he's saying you, he's talking about the FRC. You wanted one-on-one battles, but there were periods in that game today when the ball was just going back and forth across the field for 2-3 minutes at a time. The goalkeeper contributing, coming up the field, it's really something we have to look at. Now, conveniently, Malachy O'Rourke, who was on the FRC, was there as well, and he also spoke to Declan Bogue, and Talley's points were put to him, and he said, yeah, but that's always there. The goalkeeper could always come out and create an extra man. Last year it was simply 15 against 14, so it's exactly the same thing, only fewer numbers.
6 less numbers.
It's a fair riposte, I think. Last year keeper comes out, it could be 15-14, but talk to us. Paddy Talley saw this and he thought, this is the goalkeeper coming up can obviously facilitate possession ad nauseum, because you've got the extra man, you've got that numerical advantage to kill a game if you want.
Yeah, I think 6 less players in that small area, which is usually 45, is significant. Like that's a lot of bodies that you're taking out of there. 3 extra defenders. It's more space. And
does that mean it's easier to keep the ball because it's harder to get close to them?
Yeah, and the way Tyrone did it actually was very, very well done, because you saw the down Roscommon, the Murtagh goal that we're talking about. I think is a big Ryan McGill. He gets blocked down, but the keeper's on the wing. But that didn't happen with Tyrone once. Niall Morgan was always just there in that quarterback position, ball coming back to him. If they ever lost it, and I don't even think they did, but he was the furthest man back all the time, as he was just pinging the ball from left to right, finding the overload at either wing, and it just continued to do that until eventually they got an overload or a one-on-one. And the argument might be, well, Derry just need to push out. And I'm thinking, this is the rules, push out, don't let them do that. You're going to leave somebody free, but maybe they need to have a reset in their thinking that we are going to concede more easy scores, but we can also score more easy scores if we're a bit more adventurous.
Yeah. I just wonder if you prevent the goalkeeper from receiving the ball in the opposition part of the field, and it becomes 11v11. Will it be that much of a difference? Because I think the team in possession and players are so good at holding on to possession that there will be those possession chains anyway. What you're looking for is a little bit less of them. You're not going to get rid of them. Possession, it's still a possession game. You're not going to change that at this stage. And I think 11v11, it'll make a little bit of a difference, but it won't stop, because, as I said, players are really, really good. It's not like they're kicking to chance. They should be, the rules are designed maybe to kick a little bit more to chance. And I think that will come the ball over the top. Didn't see very much of that over the weekend.
Yeah,
I
Donegal.
wouldn't be terribly surprised if it in the 11v11 scenario, if what teams decide to do is, well, what we'll do is we'll have a bank of say 4 out, we'll drop one into the space that we're trying to create.
So it's 10v11 anyway.
So it's 10v11, but you're playing a sweeper.
Yeah.
So because you're filling that space in front of the goal, and the other thing is just to make the point that, like talking about the 12v11 in the context of Niall Morgan is very different when we're talking about the 12v11 because there's very few as adept at him as playing outfield. Plays outfield with his club. Colin Reap was actually really good at it on Saturday night. He made the goal for Mayo.
Very good, yeah.
And scored a point as well. So not everyone is going to have the same skill set, and I just don't think that the Niall Morgan example is the best one because he's exceptional at what
Were
he's
there any quibbles from, say, McStay and Farrell afterwards about 12v11 in the press conference?
No, Kevin McStay's viewing it was quite interesting. He says, look, a good game of football, and he says, I don't think the rules had a massive bearing on it, which I thought was interesting.
My sense watching that game on TV.
Yeah, it was probably, as Dublin Mayo games have been in the last, say, 10 years, it's quite front-footed.
Yeah.
In its
They didn't really
nature.
need the rules, those two, in the first place.
No, they don't.
But that's the point, like, because this is supposed to be a cultural change for Gaelic football. Whereas, like, yeah, we can try and improve the Alliance League top divisions and make them better to watch. But it's what's going to happen down below. And you're right, Niall Morgan's a sort of special example, but Niall Morgan didn't have any saves to make. I mean, he wasn't going to save the goal that Derry scored, and obviously he's kicking and he's catching. He is a special example, but you look at that, or if your club team looking at that, you'd be thinking, would we benefit more from just having a player who can kick the ball off the tee but get up there and be an extra player up there, and then what that will do to the game that we're trying to shake up a little bit. I wasn't concerned about the 12v11 because I thought most people wouldn't take the risk. I thought like you wouldn't want to leave 3v3 with an open net, and maybe we get more examples like Kieran Murtagh that will sort of discourage you from doing that.
I mean, it's open to them to actually go 4v4 structure. That's a possibility. To create even more space. How would that be with a goalkeeper coming forward? You'd have 10v11 then, and as you say, you'd have more space, but then you'd have more risk because you would have 4 players up before at the other end. So if it does break down, so that may be open to the attacking team to try and create more one-on-ones to go 4 up. I don't think it'll happen, but it could be an option.
Did either of the managers in the game you were at have quibbles with?
We're both delighted with it. This is Division 4.
Yeah.
You know, they were very positive about it. I really welcomed it. There was actually plenty of solo and goals that I could see, and nothing in terms of dissent or delaying. There was one delaying foul at a mark. It was an interesting one, actually, and it just shows how there's so much for a referee to absorb, and there's so many. But a Limerick player, midfielder, took a mark. He didn't indicate that he was taking a mark, and he went to play on, and he was fouled. And the referee, very good young referee, Mark Dorian from Donegal, considered that a delaying foul, a tactical foul, and he moved the ball up 50 metres, and Josh Ryan kicked it just wide for a 2-pointer. Now, the referee, I spoke to him afterwards, and he acknowledged, he says, I shouldn't have actually brought that ball forward because he didn't register the mark. It wasn't an impediment. So there was lots of those type of glitches that have to be ironed out, scenarios, and I've heard lots of them from around the grounds, just small details. Say, well, that's not actually right. But he had a very good game. He handled it very well. But you do notice at Division 4, there isn't as much contesting or challenging to the referee. I saw none of it. Maybe that's the new culture change, but the ball did move quickly and there was lots of open play. But again, it's Division 4, and maybe that cynicism doesn't really operate. That's what I would always take from that, and I certainly took that from Longford yesterday.
One other one on the keepers, and look, again, round 1, we'll see how it plays out over the league. We'll see if Paddy Tally's a lone voice or others start chipping in, agreeing with them. The curtailment in their own half is a good thing. The Roscommon, it was a Kieran Murtagh point. Roscommon decided to really press down in Down's own half, and obviously they don't have the option of going back to the goalkeeper, win possession, popped over the bar, and it brings an energy to the occasion when a moment like that happens. Eamon Fitzmaurice announced in the Sunday game that the scores are up. Obviously in Roscommon Down they were dramatically up. Donegal, you have spent your Monday morning comparing round 1 of the league this year with round 1 of the league last year. How conclusive is it?
It is very conclusive and then not at all at the same time. So it depends on what division you go to. So I've done it by division. I suppose maybe we start with the numbers year on year. So last year, round 1 of the league, average 28.8 points. 2025, and obviously games postponed. So you just did the average of that division with the games that are postponed, up to 37.1.
So from 28 to 37,
28.8. So 29 almost to 37.1.
big jump.
Yeah, considerable jump. Noticeably, or maybe not at all, but Division 1 is almost exactly the same. 30.75 last year to 31 this year.
Sorry, I thought you said that was Division 1.
No, that's year on year. Sorry, that's the total year on year across the 4 divisions, the first figures I gave you. So 28.8 round 1 across the 4 divisions.
So you take all 4 divisions.
Well, I've done it
Yeah.
every way for you, Joe.
Okay. But if I'm just low on detail here,
Yeah, overall 28.8 plays 37.1 for round 1 of the National League 2024.
okay. So
2025.
Fitzmaurice is within his rights to say that then.
Yes.
It was 2 pointers.
I put together Division 1 first round last year, and obviously there was 13 games played this year, 16 last year. But overall, for all the divisions between round 1 this year and round 1 last year, and I remember being in Galway last year for the opening round of the league, and it was equally bad weather. So it is like for like that weekend wasn't great, and I have a 6-point difference in terms of the scores are up, and that's, to use your phrase, and I have it written here, that's using old money. That's reducing the 2-pointers to 1-pointers.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's up 6 points. If you consider that those 2-pointers are 1-pointers, I have a 6-point difference round 1 to round 1. Actually, Division 1 is down, slightly down. Using old money last year, I have the average 29.25 per game last year, points scored per game. Last year, it's 29 from the 3 games this year when you average them out. So slightly down in Division 1, way up in Division 2.
Way up.
Way up. There were 28 2-pointers in Division 2.
Okay.
The rest were between 6 and 8. But Division 2 can be an outlier sometimes. I went back to a piece I recall doing after the black card was introduced for the first round in 2014, and the scores were up there, but they were considerably up in Division 2 for some reason as well. But you will always get a bounce. It will settle down.
Yeah, I didn't like Fitzmaurice using that though, like, you know, as a reference point or sort of some sort of guide to show that things are improving, because we're actually talking about trying to get football back to the way it was in the noughties when the scores would have been way further down than they would have been in the last few years. So I don't think necessarily how many scores is an indicator of what's entertaining or not, because defenders, one-on-one defending could be on top there, and that's entertaining.
Sure.
Like the contests could be entertaining.
It's not the only metric.
I think so,
but
yeah.
But it's definitely a metric.
Yeah, it's worth looking at, but I don't know if it's like, because
It's not.
look at
It's
hurling
not,
now.
it's not. Scores are up, case closed.
Yeah, but like, say the
not
scores
that.
are up in hurling, but they're putting frees over from the 20-metre line. You know?
Probably a similar thing in football now. They're so much fitter and faster now, like that they're going to move that much quicker up the pitch.
Yeah.
But I think if you don't have those, at some stage, if you don't have those possession chains where the game does slow down, are we really expecting these players to be at full pelt the whole time? Because that's what will happen. They will be out on their feet, and you will require rolling substitutes at that stage. They're no matter how athletic and fit they are,
Yeah.
to go at the pace if that keep ball isn't there at some stage. I'm not advocating it, but
Yeah.
at some stage you do need a pause in the game too. It
it's
just
true.
can't be. Like, you have it in every sport. You're going to have it in every sport. Obviously not hurling, but the ball travels in hurling obviously much further. So it is a consideration you will be looking at if it becomes designed to go at breakneck speed the whole time. You are looking at a completely different game then.